and welcome to another episode of Lexx Education. It's the comedy science podcast where comedian me, Laura Lexx, tries to learn that danged old science from her brother Ron, and it's a very special episode today because it is the final episode in the GCSE syllabus. That's right, it's the last biology. It's the last GCSE. It's a momentous day. Ron, how you doing?
I'm really excited. Yeah, it's a momentous episode for that. I think it might also be the grand winner of the Confusies Award for Most Complicated Timeline, where we've recorded the bulk of the episode. Now we're recording the intro, then we're going to record the quiz straight into the outro.
We have done this before, though, I believe.
This exact combo? I don't think so.
I think so. No, I think we have. Hang on, I need to turn the baby monitor off because I'm setting it off. And I can't have that buzzing the whole time. The baby's not asleep. I'm not being a delinquent parent. She's not asleep, mate. I've been trying for an hour to get her to sleep.
No, I said you were being a delinquent parent.
Oh, right. No. I think babies are responsible for a lot more of climate change than we realise.
Why is that?
Because we are literally having to go out and drive now to just get her to sleep, which I know sounds very irresponsible, but any parent with a 2-year-old who cannot and will not sleep will understand. We're just sort of, and I hope that gets factored into her carbon footprint, not mine.
I don't think we should be apportioning this kind of thing to a child.
I do. But then I've got an hour of stress hormones in me from trying to do a workout by having to repeatedly run upstairs and put her nappy back on before she pisses on something else. So
yeah.
How are you, Ron?
Yeah, I'm all right.
You don't seem all right.
No.
You haven't had lunch, have you?
I have had lunch, actually. Thank you very much.
Oh, you've got a very unlunched air about you.
No, some of my friends are planning on going to a counter-protest today in Bristol, and I don't know how I feel about it.
Oh, I'm going to one in Brighton today.
Oh, yeah.
Why don't you know how you feel?
Well, A, it's quite dangerous. B, I don't know. To me, it seems like it's just legitimising their protest by showing up to meet them.
Hang on, which side are you thinking of going to?
Well, I'm not thinking of going to either side. My friends are going to the anti-fascist side.
Oh, see, no, I want some bath bombs, so I'm going out with the other team.
I see. That makes sense. Yeah.
Do you think it legitimises their protest by showing up to them, or do you think that what legitimises their beliefs is their beliefs going unchallenged or being pandered to by being the only voice in the field?
But I don't think... I think showing up and shouting at them is going to rile things up. Whereas I think if they show up to absolute silence and then just get shut down by the police, they will be exposed as kind of the nonsense that it is, rather than something that's worth even speaking back to.
Here's my problem with that, though, is that a lot of the rhetoric coming from politicians is that they're calling what is being done protests. I don't think they are protests. I think they're riots. Protest on the side of anything progressive has ever also included stealing Greg's food. So I think the protests being the only thing to report legitimizes them, and it will get reported because it's sensational. Whereas if you have numbers of people going out and going yeah, a few people are livid about the way they've been told that migration is to blame for everything, but 5 times that number of people did not agree, disagreed, showed up and sort of were there. I don't know if it is incendiary to have... I agree with, shouting and riling it up, but I think just sort of being there in a calm, collected way to go, nope, we live in this town too. Your views are not mainstream.
Yeah,
that's how I feel anyway.
I think the bit where I disagree with that is I think that sort of... I don't think you, like you say, these aren't protests, they're riots. So I think counter-protesting it makes it seem like it is a protest, because you don't protest a riot.
But my problem is that I'm not really doing this to show them anything. I don't think I can change their minds. I don't think they can be reasoned with. I do not believe anything that happens would change their belief system at this point, because I'm not the sort of person they would listen to. I'm going to show support for the communities that these people are targeting. I'm going to show the media. I'm going to show politicians that there is far more worth in not pandering to these people, because there are more votes to be had by not being them.
Yeah.
It's not about them in my perspective. But I also think there's a weird privilege in being a small white woman in this situation, because like Tom and I talked about it, about which one of us was going to go, and I think in an odd way it's safer for me to go, because I am slightly safer than him at an event like this, because Tommy Robinson's not going to start on me. He'd start on, well, he wouldn't start on anybody particularly, but these knobheads will start on a man, where I think there is an odd protection in being a woman, weirdly.
Yeah, and I do see the showing up for the community bit, but then there's a clean-up scheduled in Bristol tomorrow, so I'm going to go to that over my lunch break.
Absolutely. That I think you've hit the nail on the head there, though. I think that with this thing, it's terrifying, and I think you do the bit that you feel comfortable with, and as long as you're doing something, whether it's donating, being vocal online, just simply reading and researching and talking to the people in your inner circle, like, you can be as big or small as you like, as long as you are being a positive impact, I think.
Yeah.
And if your positive impact is to not engage with this because you know that you will recharge and engage another day, I think maybe perhaps that's even valid as well, because exhausting yourself on something you're not comfortable with just reduces your power to be helpful in other areas. Like, I think, I guess I'm lucky. I feel completely comfortable going tonight because I'm going with friends who are in a similar boat to me, who have very similar thing, and it's Brighton. So I know there's going to be a big turnout of counter-protesters because that's the city I live in. I don't think I would perhaps have had the guts to go if I lived in Warrington or Southport. I don't know. But I think it's a very different proposition. I'm doing this from such a position of privilege that it's a much easier decision to make.
That's fair. So it's our last biology episode.
Yeah, it is, Ron. Whew.
Just as we finish doing GCSE, the country falls into shambles.
Nah, here's the thing. It feels terrifying, but that's because there's so much footage of it. But think about all the times. Like, the riots, was it 2011? There were terrible riots. And throughout history, there has been riots and protesting, and it is something that the world goes through, and it always happens when it's sunny and hot, because rioting is a very seasonal behaviour. It's very rarely something t-shirted men do with a can of Stella in their hands when it's pissing down with rain. It's terrifying and it's horrifying, but I don't believe in the 16th and 17th century, we had quite the cleanup operations that we're having now, or the way people are rebuilding businesses that have been targeted by these people. Yes, it's scary and it's horrifying, but I think you can still see some societal progress despite this death rattle of imbecility.
Yeah. Yeah, and at least it's them rioting because the right wing are unhappy.
Absolutely. And look at the reaction that the police and the government and the courts are having. You've got a prime minister who used to be head of the criminal justice system, or whatever his job role was. They've mobilised so fast to go for arrests, and they are not pissing about with the sentencing, I don't think. It's going to be such a wake-up call. There's I don't feel sorry for the morons that are going out there and being racist inciters and being horribly racist, but I think there probably will be a number of vulnerable teenagers who have not sort of probably had the access to education that they should have, who got caught up in the looting, who are gonna absolutely have their lives, if not ruined, absolutely derailed and detoured by going with the crowd and popping in and picking up a box of bath bombs and walking out without any real understanding of the implications of what they've just done.
Yeah.
I'm currently listening to a podcast about the French Revolution, though, so I don't know if, like, my take is slightly skewed by going, these have happened throughout history. And I'm not minimizing the fear, but, like, the murder toll does tend to go down as we
Oh, God, yeah.
go through time.
No, I don't think it's the end of days, but it's just not nice, is it?
No, it's horrible.
But, I mean, no, I'm exactly the same as you. Like, it's why I'm more on the fence about how I feel about the counter-protest to these sort of things, because I've been actually very impressed, the rare bit of praise from me for Keir Starmer, I've been very impressed with the reaction from, like, you know, frontline politics and the police and whatnot. Which is why, like, you know, like when all that stuff was going on with the cenotaph and that was just getting completely ignored by the media and stuff, and like they weren't being portrayed as the footage really clearly showed what they were doing, then I think that's something that needs to be sort of protested and counter-protested, because the narrative is wrong. Whereas to this, it just seems like some people, like, just seems like a job for the police. It's just civil unrest. That's the nuance that I see in it. Like, for me, it seems like everyone's on a party line. You sort of showing up in groups, I think. But yeah, I mean, we already discussed that. But that's the difference that I see in it.
A few of my friends who are not white have expressed a wish, have sort of, you know, like friends who can actually tell you like what they want to see from an ally. And it's not like they've gone, hey, please go to the counter protest. Please put yourself in danger. But in speaking to them and understanding the fear and like what's going through their very real day-to-day lives, I feel like that show of solidarity from people like me, where it does feel safe enough to do it, is something I want to do.
That's fair.
Also, I don't want to clean up tomorrow, yuck. Ugh. Ugh. I'd rather go and be a hero tonight, thank you, darling.
I'd rather clean and be scared.
Tom's very worried I'm going to start a fight, but I'm not going to.
No. They would. You'd say something, and then they'd see whoever has stood directly in front of you and attribute it to them.
Or behind, Ron.
Yeah.
No, I intend to be very, very peaceful. Is this a quiz or an intro? This is an intro,
This is an intro, yeah. Told you it was the runner-up in the Confusies.
Well, I'm sure we've done it before, though. What else should we say? It's the final biology. Have a lovely time. Okay, recording. Ron, it's going to be a wind episode because the windows just frankly have to be open. It's boiling up here.
Yeah, similar. Although it's actually not boiling in Bristol today. It's quite cold. I'm wearing sweatpants and a sweatshirt.
Wowzers! I'd say it was very muggy earlier. Child of the podcast and I went to the library to finally, Ron, I've got the book club book.
Congrats.
I can start reading finalement. So we went to the library and I wore trousers and it was so hot, and now all those clouds have cleared and it's blue sky and it's delish.
Beautiful.
We're going to an outdoor Lido this afternoon.
Oh, lovely. Living the life of Riley.
Yeah, man. But it's actually the life of Laura.
Yeah. People are envious across the land.
Yeah. As they should be.
Mm.
I made such a disgusting curry last night when we had to order a curry instead.
That happens lots to you, which is weird because you're a good cook.
Yeah, I know, but it's when I'm using a new recipe and I followed the recipe and then I did post the recipe online and go, this was fucked up, and everybody went, whoa, yeah, that's not right. And I was like, God damn you, curry paste recipe.
Yeah.
You biffed me in the nads.
What was wrong with it?
Too much fennel. So much fennel. Oh, God, the fennel. And I don't really like aniseed flavours at the best of times. So this was just fennel-tastic.
Yeah.
Blech. And the worst thing about it, Ron, is because I made the curry paste from scratch, which was the disgusting bit, and obviously turmeric. So everything I own is now stained a horrible yellow colour, and it wasn't even a nice curry.
That sucks.
Yeah.
It real sucks.
Really sucks.
So it's the last ever biology, Laura.
Oh my god! Our last ever GCSE biology. Don't panic your tits off, everybody. There will be more biology, but it'll be a level biology.
It'll be AS level, actually.
Oh. What?
AS levels.
Oh. Do they still do AS and A levels?
Yeah.
But
probably.
they don't have grades anymore, do they? They have numbers. They have colours. So that you just go, I got a peach in my A levels.
Yeah, bloody
I got
Gen Zs.
sky blue. Everybody got a participation medal. Whoop whoop.
Seagulls.
You got seagulls?
Yeah.
They're not flying around here. I think it's too hot. The birds have all gone for a little lie down. Which I sure wish my daughter would do.
Yeah, she seems fun.
She's tired, bless her.
Why?
She's just sort of fighting, having naps a little bit, and she got up quite early this morning, and just lots of change going on in her life. You know, she's 2.
Yeah.
She's got to learn to stay in bed. She's got to learn to stop pissing herself. That's a lot to happen in a week.
Oh, yeah. Happy holiday.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, that's fun for you, isn't it?
Well, it's not, Ron, and I'm a bit cranky because I wanted to go on holiday, and I looked up loads of holidays in the UK, and Tom was like snobbing about it and going, no, I don't want to go to these. Oh, no. So I was like, fine. Looked for a fancy one. There wasn't a fancy one that looked fun that, you know, would be fun with the 2. So we were like, fine, we'll stay at home, fine. And we were like, but we'll go out every day. It'll be like we're on holiday, but we'll just do it in Sussex. And then I said, oh, we're going to go to the Lido this afternoon. What time should we go? And he went, oh, do you want me to come? Like, are you fucking kidding me, mate? Are you fucking kidding me?
You mean you didn't want to just solo parent all week?
I didn't, no. And I know he solo parented all weekend, but I did do 7 shows in 3 days and drive 700 miles. So I also did quite a lot of work.
Yeah.
And recorded 2 episodes of this and edited them.
Yeah. Well done.
Busy queen, mate.
Yeah.
I had such a busy day on Saturday. I had a gig in Liverpool. I was staying in Manchester, so I had to drive to Liverpool, do 1 show, drive back to Manchester, do another show, then go to another venue and do a different show, and then go back to the original Manchester venue and do a 4th show, and then drive from Manchester to Warwick.
Ugh.
Did I tell you about my tedious breakfast problem in Warwick?
Yeah?
I don't think I've spoken to you since it happened. You just
Okay.
Is that a sign you just don't want the story? Okay, fine. Fuck yourself then, Ron. You tell me a story. Let me guess. You've been to the barbers in flip-flops.
No. No, I went camping at the weekend. Went to Wells Pride. That was fun.
Yeah, you played a show, didn't you?
Yeah, played a gig.
Fancy pants boy.
Yeah, it was good fun. But yeah, let's crack on with biology, Laura.
Okay.
So it's gonna be.
If anybody else is interested in my breakfast story, just pop it in the Discord that you want to know, and I will leave a voice note.
Well, no. How about we do that instead of fictional teachers?
What, you want me to just talk about one sad breakfast for an hour's episode? Yeah. No, Ron, we're not doing it.
No.
Ooh, that's a good Patreon idea. We could have a chess club. Should we do an episode about chess?
Sure.
You love chess.
I like chess. Yeah, we could play chess while we record.
Oh, I hate playing chess.
I think
Chess
that'd be
is like
really funny.
Chess is a game designed to frustrate and annoy me because it's slow and boring and you have to think ahead. You can't just be impulsive. And none of those things are my strong suit. I can't do it.
I think that'd be quite funny if we played chess while we
Nephew of the
recorded.
podcast is always trying to bully me into playing chess. And I'm like, you know you'll win. It won't be fun. He's like, go on, let's play a little bit of chess.
So Laura, do you remember what we were doing last time on biology?
No.
No, neither can I.
Oh, let me check the notes, Ron.
Oh, I mean, I've got notes too. I just couldn't remember. I don't
The
really
sun. Oh, plants. Primary consumers and all that jazz.
That was it,
And
yeah.
all that jazz. I'm gonna rouge my knees and pull my stockings down. Ba-da-da-ba-ba-da-da-do-do-do. What's that from, Ron?
Chicago?
Correct. Ding, 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 ding. I had an avocado for lunch, and all of those good fats are really working on me.
Yeah.
Also, in my crossword today, protein building acids was a clue again, and I was like, aminos, you bastards, you are really helping me out. Twice now.
Well done.
And today, I got exactly the same time as Agony Dad. Exactly the same number of seconds.
Oh, the New York Times one.
Yeah.
Nice.
You don't do it anymore, but I do it.
I did
And
it for a
Agony
while.
Dad does it.
I did it for a long time. You just
Yeah.
didn't get on board until I had already stopped.
I love doing the connections one. That's the one that I love the most.
Yeah, it's good
It's
fun.
like the only connect thing. I really love that.
What sugar have you eaten this morning?
One piece of baklava.
Right. Was that right before now?
No, that was before I even had my lunch. That was to hold off the trembles that I got while I was making my lunch.
Oh, you're really like...
Fun and peppy, like a podcast host should be. Yes, mate. Killing it at my job.
There's a jerkiness to it. That's kind of erratic. All right, Lois, so we're going to finish off 4.7.2.
I tell you what it is. It's because I had my 10 days of absolute sadness where I was in the bog and I had no feelings. And then I had quite a busy, stressful weekend at work. And then I came home to some family shit, dealing with some stuff. And so I think I'm like, you know, when you're extra peppy to ride out all of the, like, let's push all the negators away.
Yeah.
Some might call it mania. I
So
haven't finished Subjugation for Mania yet.
What is that?
Mania for Subjugation. The new Dan
okay.
Carlin one. I haven't
Yeah.
finished it. It's because I got really into Restless History and then History on Fire and then also Sports, Strangers, Crimes and The Opportunist. Oh my God, Ron. I listened to a series of The Opportunist and it was the saddest story I've ever heard in my life. I hated it.
What's The Opportunist?
So it is true crime, but it's not like murders. It's about people who sort of became criminals by way of opportunity, like just sort of like it sort of crept up on them and then they became absolute dog shit people, right? And there was this guy who was a pharmacist and he started, like, when people had a prescription for pills, only giving them 25 pills instead of 30 and like creaming the money off the top, and then basically spent 13 years diluting people's chemotherapy medicine and like basically were like delivering them bags of what should have been their chemotherapy medicine and it was just saline in a bag.
And then selling the medicine.
No, but like selling it to the doctors as if it was medicine because he's a pharmacist.
Right.
And keeping the money. And he made $19 million and like tampered with 98,000 prescriptions over 13 years and just killed countless people because they weren't being treated for cancer like they thought they were.
Jesus.
Hideous, right?
Yeah, really horrible.
And they couldn't try him for murder because it was like too legally difficult to prove that he had killed them because they had cancer, you know?
Yeah.
And so like they didn't want to run the risk of like trying him for murder and like him not getting convicted, so they had to try him on like other stuff. So he got 30 years, but just horrible.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Well, that's
So I haven't finished listening about Philip of Macedon.
Yeah.
There's a really cool cobweb in my window that's real floaty.
What's happening to it?
It's just poofing up and down in the wind. But it's really intricate. You know, some cobwebs are like liney net strings and some are like tissue pillows. This one's like a tissue pillow.
That's interesting. I don't know if I consider the ones that are liney net strings, like, I don't know if I consider those cobwebs.
Oh, maybe they're just spider webs.
Yeah.
Why do we say cobweb?
I don't know.
Hey, here's another thing. The word underneath. You don't need both of those. Under or neath. You don't need underneath.
Underneath. Under that. Underneath that. Under that. Under That's under that. That's underneath that. Is there any difference between those two things?
And beneath, which I'm assuming is what neath is short for. You're basically saying under beneath. You don't need to say both of those.
Above-neath? That's not a thing. Under your clothes, there's an endless story.
There's a man I chose. There's my territory.
territory.
All the things I deserve. Being such a good girl.
Underneath the bridge downtown, I could not get enough. Underneath the bridge downtown. Are there any other under songs?
Underneath ground, overneath ground, wombling free. The wombles of Wimbledon, come on our way.
Going underneath ground, going underneath ground. Where the hell's my fucking train? Going underneath ground, going underneath ground. The London underneath ground.
Yeah. Underneath pressure. Pushing down on me. Pushing down on me. Underneath pressure.
That's a good one.
Thanks, mate. Let's never say underneath again. Let's always say under or beneath.
Stevie Wonderneath, is that a thing? Is that anything?
Yes, Ron, it is something. I don't know what it is.
Stevie Wonderneath.
Stevie Wonderneath your clothes.
Right, let's press on, because otherwise we're going to end up having to do 2 more padding episodes, because we simply must finish biology today. And I'd wager we've been recording for 13 minutes.
14.
Oof. Yeah, and this is going to be a proper episode, so we'll have a quiz and intros, outros, so we do need to press on. Laura, finishing off 4.7.2, which was about abiotic and biotic factors, if you remember.
Oh, yeah. And listen, minerals in the rocks are abiotic.
Yes. So what we're going to talk about is just how these things, how some of these abiotic factors are used by systems. One of them that we're going to talk about is the carbon cycle, and another one that we're going to talk about is the water cycle. We'll do carbon cycle first. So, Laura.
Yes.
Where do you want to start on the carbon cycle? How does carbon exist?
Land's End.
Okay, so we're in Land's End. What bit of carbon do you want to start with?
The butt.
Okay, there is carbon in butts. So yeah, carbon is stored
in your butt.
Animals.
I got a butt full of carbon.
So let's say
my torso.
So let's say that you've got a sheep on Land's End.
I got a sheep on Land's End.
The sheep is made of carbon. It's an organic creature, much like you or me.
Carbon fibre sheep.
How? What's
carbon fibre?
It's fibres of carbon. I don't know how it could be
Everything's
any
fibres
more
of carbon.
illustrative in its
Everything's
name.
fibres of carbon.
Yeah, but that's just carbon.
Oh, whereas we're carbon and water.
And other stuff,
Banana
yes.
DNA.
So, Laura, the sheep can give its carbon back into the world in 2 ways.
Shitting and breathing. And bleeding.
And
Pissing.
breathing
And
is
dying.
actually... Jesus. Breathing actually is one of them.
Breathe
What
in.
happens when you breathe?
Breathe out carbon dioxide.
Where's that carbon dioxide come from?
Your lungs.
Absolutely. Where does that go?
Into the air.
Okay. Hold on. Are you drawing this, yeah?
Writing it. I suppose that is drawing, isn't it? You draw letters.
I would
and
draw
they
this
are
because
writing.
it's a complex web rather than just a process.
Oh, I'm bad at drawing.
Draw
Okay.
the sheep.
Hang on. Oh, I regret doing it face on.
It's always the harder one, Laura. You know this.
Can you see all 4 legs from the front? No.
Doesn't matter.
It's a sheep in winter. Okay, I've drawn a sheep. And then it's breathing out.
Yep, that goes into the atmosphere. We'll
Must be some sheep breath in the atmosphere.
We'll leave that for now. The other thing that it can do is it can die or it can poop.
CO2. And it can die. Oh my god, I really can't draw. Or it can poop.
How does a dead sheep or a sheep poop give its carbon back to the carbon cycle, Laura?
Bugs eat it.
Yep. And then it kind of goes back into the animal bit of it. Or...
Wait, am I supposed to be drawing the bugs?
I don't care.
You're
You
supposed to care.
You could label it. You're supposed to be understanding the carbon cycle, not worrying about whether you're supposed to draw some fucking bugs or not.
So, yeah, bugs eat it, and then what? The carbon's back in animals.
Yeah, then it stays in this kind of block that we're thinking about here, right? Like, because it doesn't necessarily have to be a bug either. It could be a tiger or a human.
Tigers don't eat shit.
They eat sheep.
Oh, right, yeah.
You have a fecal problem.
No, because I was thinking
transfixed.
about the sheep dying of natural causes and then just lying down and being eaten by bugs. I wasn't
Yes.
thinking about the sheep being
But also there are
hunted.
scavengers like vultures and things.
Well, yes, but you said a tiger, so I didn't...
Tigers would eat it. If a tiger found a sheep on the floor, I'm sure it would eat it.
Do tigers live in the same place as sheep?
Sheep live everywhere.
Do they?
You'd think they don't have sheep in India.
I don't know, mate. Yeah, they do. They have loads of lamb curries.
Yes.
Okay. You're being very aggressive. It's so delightful today.
So then it stays in the animal bit of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's the other way that we can return that carbon to nature?
Oil.
That's not really part of the cycle because that takes so long that is essentially removing it from the cycle.
Carbon capture.
Exactly.
Oh, bit of wind.
So, how else can it get back into the cycle?
The breathing one?
We've already done that, but dead things and shit don't breathe.
Oh, are we talking about off the dead stuff and shit?
Yes.
It can get soaked into the land.
How does that give carbon back to anything?
Because it grows into the grass then.
Where does grass get its carbon from?
The roots. The air.
The air. So soaking into the land is not part of it.
What's compost for then?
Nutrients.
Okay.
Minerals and nitrogen.
So how does poop and dead stuff also turn into carbon?
What happens? Let's imagine a tiger didn't eat the dead sheep on the floor.
Yeah.
What would happen to it?
Get eaten by bugs.
Let's imagine there were no bugs. What would happen to it?
It would rot.
What happens when it rots?
I don't know, Ron. I thought it was bugs eating it. I thought that's what rotting was.
Do you know why we do food waste rather than just throwing all that into landfill?
No.
Really?
We don't have food waste in Brighton.
Oh. Well, the reason why we do food waste...
I put it on the compost and then flies eat it.
The reason why we do food waste rather than just throwing these things into landfill is because when things like that rot, they release methane, which is another way that carbon is released into the atmosphere.
CO4.
CH4. Methane is another greenhouse gas, so we try and stop that from happening by collecting up all of our food waste. Okay,
wait,
Laura.
so when that gives off the methane, then what do we do with that?
It just goes into the atmosphere and then it's used by stuff.
So how's that any different to it going in landfill?
Oh, what do we do with it? Oh, we burn it, I think.
Well, sure, isn't that still releasing it?
Yes, but methane's a worse greenhouse gas than carbon dioxide, and we at least get energy from burning it, so it's more useful.
I see. Okay.
Okay, so that's carbon back into the atmosphere as well. When carbon is in the atmosphere, where does it go?
To the sky.
When we're thinking about the carbon cycle, what is the sky if not the atmosphere?
The sky isn't... We're always in the sky.
Where does the carbon dioxide go from the atmosphere to get back into the carbon cycle?
Into plants.
Yes, through the process of photosynthesis. Now, how does the plant matter get into the animals?
They eat it.
Yes. Plants can also die and rot. That's another part of it.
Hang on, do you want me to draw this or not?
That skull and crossbones you've drawn is dog shit. It looks more like shit than the shit you drew.
It is bad. I'm not good at drawing. Okay, so the plants can also rot down.
Yep. Plants also breathe. They also respire, so the carbon dioxide goes out.
I thought they gave out oxygen.
They give out both.
Bloody hell, Harry.
But they take in more carbon dioxide than they give out. But if you think about it, they only take in carbon dioxide when the sun's out, don't they? Because it's part of photosynthesis. So at the night time, they're breathing out carbon dioxide, same as everything else.
Whoa.
Yeah. That's the carbon cycle.
If you put a plant in 24-hour light, would it get tired?
No.
So they don't need a nighttime like we do.
No.
Okay.
And if we weren't used to nighttime, we wouldn't need it either. That's just evolution.
Okay.
That's the carbon cycle, Laura.
Why are you mad at me?
I'm not.
Okay.
You're crankier than you know.
Oh.
And there's just a frostiness, but I think we're having a good time.
Do you like gin?
No.
Oh.
Why?
I've got some violet gin here. I don't want it.
No, I don't want it.
Don't like violets.
I don't like gin. Laura, we're going to talk about the water cycle now. Where do you want to start with the water cycle?
At the top.
In the atmosphere. Okay, we've got water in the atmosphere. What happens to it then?
It rains or it fogs.
It rains, yes. That falls onto the ground. There are two places that the water can go when it's on the ground. Can you hazard guess as these two things?
Jungles. No. Sea or land?
No.
Mountains. Or two places it can go. And it's not sea or land.
So
Northern
one of
or
them.
southern
So
hemisphere?
everything that you've just said there is going to get bundled into the bracket of surface runoff. It lands on the ground, and then it flows into streams, which then coalesce into rivers, which then go into bigger rivers, which then go into the sea. Surface runoff. What else can happen to water?
It can get absorbed and go down into underground caves.
Groundwater. Yes. That's basically the other place that water can go. There's huge amounts of water under the ground.
Yeah. Spelunking.
The other thing that water can do when it's been on the ground is it can get sucked up by plants.
And by dogs.
And by dogs.
Mackie's a bit sick this week.
She's always sick.
I hate it when she's sick.
Okay, Laura, so when water is in groundwater, what can happen to it?
Underground reservoirs.
Yep, that's groundwater, but what can happen to it?
It can go stagnant. It can become a stream, a spring, a geyser.
A spring, yes,
a
spring. Thank you. Okay, and then it's going to join the other water. How, from all of the stuff that we've said there, how can water get back into the sky? There's two ways. Use your words.
Yeah, I can't. All I can think of is condensation, and that's not it, is it?
No,
Evaporation.
That's one of them, and the other one? That's right. Transpiration from plants.
Transpiration.
Where they lose water out of their leaves.
What?
Then it's back in the sky.
Mm-hmm.
And then the water cycle goes on. How do we feel about the water cycle?
Boring.
Yeah, it's quite boring, isn't it?
It's really boring.
Well, lucky for you, we don't have to cover the nitrogen cycle.
Super mega twatty boring. Why not?
It's just not part of the syllabus.
Oh, let's do it anyway.
No, you hate it when we do things. Laura, do you want to do another 2 episodes of filler?
I love the filler.
No, you don't. You complained at me all the while.
Because you didn't bring any filler. You said it was a filler episode with no filler. It was just blank space baby. I'll write your name. That's all
Laura,
it was.
Why is it when you want to go cross-eyed and ask me why we call it a fucking cobweb, that's okay. But when I decide to bring nothing to the table, that's a big fucking problem.
Because my job is to be the pain in the butt. Your job is to be the little engine that could.
You know what? I didn't sign up for that the whole time.
What did you sign up for, Ron?
Just making a nice podcast with
we
my
do
bro.
make a fucking nice podcast.
Right, 4 points.
I do all the work outside of the records. You do the work inside the records.
Yeah, which I do.
Until you can't be bothered, and then you just sit here and go, it's not a spate of good episodes. It's a bit shit and boring. I've got nothing. Look at my toe pus.
Oh yeah, I did have bad... There, do you want to see?
No.
They're just angry red spots now.
They are. They're horrible.
Yeah.
And so are the scrapes.
4.7.3, Laura, biodiversity and the effect of human interaction on ecosystems. Now, we're going to bruise through this, because otherwise you're going to cry.
Okay.
There
aren't any butterflies left.
What's biodiversity?
Lots of little different things, all interacting with each other.
It's the variety of different species on the Earth or within an ecosystem.
And we've killed like 60% of them in the last 20 years.
What's the benefit of having high biodiversity?
It's just fair, isn't it?
Yes, but what's the... in nature, what's the benefit of it?
Everything's got something to eat.
Everything's got something to eat in an ecosystem anyway.
Why?
Because otherwise it wouldn't be an ecosystem.
Yeah, well, it's an ecosystem because of the biodiversity.
Yes, but I said, what's the benefit of high biodiversity?
Oh, I don't know.
Why are you cranky now?
Because you're cranky. So
I'm
you
not.
Make me cranky.
We're doing the fucking content.
Yeah, but in a crank way.
No, so high biodiversity means that a system can react to change better. If you had an ecosystem that was all just rats eating refreshers, as soon as the refreshers went away, the rats would be fucked.
Yeah.
But if you had an ecosystem that was rats, mice, capybaras, and cats eating refreshers and dib-dabs and fruit wind-ups and those things that you see kids eating nowadays that have bears on them, if the refreshers went away, the system's better, right? Because there's other options.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Or let's say instead of dib-dabs, it's chocolate.
Oh, I love chocolate.
if the temperature goes up, the chocolate will melt, but the refreshers are still fine. Yeah? That's biodiversity in a nutshell.
Yeah, okay.
4.7.3.2, waste management.
I'm in waste management.
Population gets bigger, we have
Did
to
you ever
deal...
watch The Sopranos?
Most of the first series. Population gets bigger, we have to deal with the waste that comes away from the population, Laura.
You didn't love it then?
It was lockdown. Things stuck, other things didn't, you know. Population gets bigger. Have to deal with the waste that comes out of it, Laura.
Yeah, too many foxes shitting everywhere. Gonna have to deal with it.
Pollution from waste can affect the water, the air, and the land. How do we affect the water with our pollution?
We fill it with hormones and shit and chemicals.
Yep,
And we
sewage,
kill the animals that
fertilizer,
live in
and toxic
there.
chemicals. What about in the air, Laura?
We shove out loads of methane and CFCs and carbon.
Smoke and acidic gases, that's
Diesel
correct.
fuels.
What about land?
We reduce the biodiversity on it and just have grasslands, and we get rid of hedgerows and we cut down trees and we build concrete.
And pollution comes from landfill and toxic chemicals. Pollution kills plants and animals, which can reduce biodiversity. Land use. We have to consider how much land we use in the things that we do, Laura.
Yeah.
Some land use constitutes the destruction of habitats. That's bad for biodiversity. The more habitats we have, the more biodiversity we have.
Gotta claim those newts.
The other thing that destruction of different of land use could do is it can release large amounts of carbon dioxide inherently when you do things like get rid of a peat bog.
Did you see that area in Scotland, the peat bogs up there, have been given like national cultural heritage status?
Oh, that's really good.
They've got some kind of special. I can't remember. I don't think it's outstanding national beauty. I think it's like national heritage or something.
Great.
So, yeah, fancy protected.
They can release large amounts of carbon dioxide because some of these things are carbon sinks.
Yeah.
Deforestation, Laura. We cut down lots of forests and we plant land for cows and fields. We grow biofuels.
Yeah.
Global warming. We know about global warming.
We know loads about global warming. Oh, I bet my exam is full of global warming questions.
Maintaining biodiversity, Laura. There's lots of different ways that we do it. We do breeding programs for different species. Like, we make some spoonbills, fucking a zoo. We protect rare habitats, like you just said. We protect different habitats, like you just said, with the peat bogs in Scotland. Reintroduction of field margins and hedgerows, like you said, in agriculture. And then we reduce deforestation and we try and recycle resources rather than dumping them into natural land.
We try to.
That's it, Laura. That's biology.
Why do they always end on the most miserable fucking subjects?
I don't know.
They should start with this. Worry the kids at the start of term and then end on the fun shit. Every time now we've got to the end of the syllabus and they've gone, you're all going to die because billionaires don't care. Love you, bye. Have a great summer. What's the point in sitting the exam?
Yeah.
It's just shit structure.
Maybe they want to leave them with something to go away from. Also, I don't think you have to do it in that order.
Well, why did you?
Because that's just the order it's written in.
You didn't even look, did you?
Did I read the whole 190-page PDF before we got started?
Yeah.
No.
Well. You've got something on your cheek, Ron. It's egg.
Okay. That back cover's really worn off, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to go to sleep now.
Yeah, you go have a sleep, mate. We're done. Goodbye,
All right.
GCSE.
Wow. I'm a fucking miserable little spot to end the holiday on, eh? Just pulled over in a lay-by.
With what holiday?
Well, the holiday that was this podcast.
But the podcast isn't ending.
No, but the GCSE bit is. The premise. Da-na-na-na-na.
Quizzing.
That skull and crossbones is bad, Ron.
Yeah, I told you.
My sheep's very wide too. I reckon that sheep is one of those sheep that's like gone off and got lost in the wild and survived without being sheared for 5 years, you know?
Yeah. Like the one that got stuck in a cave.
There was a sheep that got stuck in a cave.
Yeah, it grew loads of wool. Don't know what it was
Yeah.
eating. Maybe it was sucking moisture out the beams like Artie Ziff.
What's that? Is that Simpsons?
Sweet dreams are made of these. Who am I to disagree? Traveled the world and the 7 seas. I am watching you through a camera. Yeah, there's the Simpsons.
Long detour to get to the answer there, wasn't it, Ron? I've got to be honest, I'm a little bit like... I guess it feels like actual end of term. I've got no interest in this quiz because I want to do next week's episode about Mr. Bean.
Yeah.
So this is exactly how I feel towards the end of term, where you're like, next week they're just going to put a video on and I want to do that, but we've just got this mini bit of syllabus left.
The next episode's going to be really weird, I think.
I think it's going to be really weird.
Because you asked me to research Mr. Bean. In
Yeah.
doing so, I realised I've never seen an episode of it.
What?
Yeah. I was reading...
Did you watch the... Let's save this for next week, Ron.
All right.
Right, just quiz me, quick, and then we can fuck off.
Laura, starting with your sheep, can you talk me through the carbon cycle?
Yes, Ron. So, the sheep breathes out CO2. It also poops out CO2. And when it dies, its body is carbon. And its poop is carbon, not CO2.
Stop
actually.
getting
It's not
so hung up on the poop.
poop. And then flies come along. And
You
they
got way too hung up on the poop.
and the body, or like a deer would eat its bones. Watched a video earlier of a deer eating human bones. And that like rots down into the ground, and the carbon like rots down into the ground, or the carbon goes into whatever's eaten the poop or the body. Then that releases some CO2 into the air, and then that gets eaten by plants into their lungs. Breathing, that's what that's called. Breathes CO2, except at night when it doesn't breathe in CO2. At night it just breathes oxygen and breathes out CO2. And then the sheep eats the plants and the grass, and so gets the carbon back into itself, and thus the cycle is complete.
What else do the plants do sometimes?
Rot down, which releases CO2 and puts carbon into the soil.
Yes. Okay, grand. What about the water cycle, Laura?
The water cycle, Ron. You get water in the sky called clouds, and then that water comes out, and that can become surface runoff, which goes into rivers and goes into the sea, and the sea evaporates, and it goes back up into the sky. Or it goes down into groundwater, which is like water, but all minced up. We call it minced water in the UK.
Nice.
Thank you. And then that
Do you know what they call minced beef in certain contexts in Belgium?
Nope.
Le Américain.
Oh.
You can have like baguettes from the supermarket with like it's basic. I think it's like kind of like steak tartare with just like minced beef in them.
In a sandwich.
It's quite orange. Yeah.
It doesn't feel like a compliment to America.
I don't know if it is.
Comes out of a spring and becomes surface runoff. Also, I've written down transpiration from plants. They piss out water sometimes. They sweat water out the bottom of their leaves, out the top of their leaves.
Well, when they respire in the same way as us, water comes out. Yeah. Because plants are just tubes, yeah, from the ground to the sky.
Sweaty tubes.
So you got to have water coming out the top so that it pulls
that's
it up.
perspire. What's respire? Breathing. What's transpire then? Transpired.
Well, it's all about releasing of gas, isn't it?
It's the end of term. I've got my tie around my head, and everybody's drawing on my shirt. Ooh, 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 ooh.
That's the end of the quiz.
Yay! School's out for summer.
Was recess too new for you? Are you too old for recess?
No, I remember recess.
Did you ever watch the Recess movie?
No.
Ah, that had a great bit when they go on school holidays.
How did that... Was the whole film about school holidays?
Yeah, the movie was set over the summer holidays, and I think like the military were using the school ground for something freaky.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That was the one where the kindergartners were like absolute rascals, wasn't it?
Ferals, and you had King Bob, Spinelli, Gretchen, Mike, Gus,
the girl that was always
Vince,
trying to go over the top on the swings.
Yeah, upside down girl.
Who
No.
was that, like...
There was a girl on the swings.
Who was that creepy boy that was always a bit like...
Randall.
Ugh.
Moist. Yeah. Principal... What was that guy's name? Principal Peter Prickly. No, that name doesn't ring a bell at all. Mrs. Finster.
Oh, yeah, I remember that name.
Oh, what a show. Ooh, someone's drawn some porn about her. I'll send that to you.
No! Ron! What's wrong with your internet that comes up so early?
It came up really quick.
Did you type in Mrs. Finster porn?
No, I typed in the principal from Recess.
Ew.
She's not even the principal.
Somebody's typing that in one-handed with one hand already in their pants, knowing what they're going to get.
Look at that
Hobble.
dump truck.
Oh, no. I'm going to WhatsApp. I don't know why. Wow. I mean, I would tap. Hideous. Why are people like this? Come to Cheerful Earful and we'll show you this picture and more of your favourite characters made sexy.
200 patrons by the end of this month,
Rocco
and Laura and I
Rocco's
will
Modern Life
both
with a
get
massive
this
dong?
tattoo.
Ron, I won't.
If we get 200 patrons that stick around for a year, by the end of this month, we'll both get this tattoo.
Yeah, okay. I will get it on the sole of my foot.
I'll get it on the sole of Laura's foot too.
No, you have to get it on your own body. You
Maybe
should definitely... Is it your 30th next year?
Yeah.
We've got to get your tattoo next year. Let's get this.
No, herons.
Herons?
Herons.
We've all got to get a heron?
Yeah.
Fuck off. A heron?
Yeah. 4 herons in a bunch, one for each of us.
A heron? Why have we got to get a heron?
Nah, we're not really going to get a heron. I'm going to get a heron on my own before that.
What are we going to do for your tattoo?
I don't know. I didn't know we were all getting a tattoo
You
from...
did?
It's been...
We said we were going to do it on everybody's 10-year birthdays.
No, you've said that. But I agree. But I haven't thought about it, because it's not like I came to the group and I was like, hey, we're doing this. It's been happily foisted upon me, and I need to think.
God, you're so grumpy sometimes.
I'm not. I'm just
Ron,
saying...
this isn't the anticlimactic last episode of the syllabus that I wanted.
Sorry, let's go back to talking about Mrs. Finster's big jelly
No!
butt.
Let's say, Ron, what a lovely time it's been doing GCSE science.
Yeah, so next week we're going to have end of term Beanathon.
Yeah.
And then the week
the week
after
after
that...
we were going to do fictional teachers, but now Ron's Google search history makes me think I don't want to do that.
No, I thought we were going to get Tom in for a year in review.
Oh, yeah, of course we were. Yeah, we're going to have parent-teacher evaluation with a husband.
Husband-teacher evaluation.
Yeah, there's no parent involved.
Yeah, Agony Dad does not care for our troubles.
No, we can only bring stuff to Agony Dad when it's his. Also, he's never listened to an episode, so he can't help. But neither's Tom, to be fair. Anyway, listen.
Oh, right. Have everyone listening now, listeners, re-listen to the podcast and then send in moments that you think Tom should evaluate, things that he really needs to hear from our GCSE times, and then we might be able to play some clips.
Yeah, that's a good idea, Ron.
Yeah.
Clips episode.
Send in moments that you want Tom's reaction to. So either him being impressed with Laura or him thinking she's a real thick piece of idiot shit, and we'll get his reaction on it.
Can you do it on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook, though, so that we can show the world that we have interaction? Because I love the Discord and I love what we've got there, but it does look a bit like we've gone dormant sometimes. Okay. Come to Cheerful Earful. Come to my tour.
Ooh, it's raining. Maybe the protest won't happen at all.
Kiss your loved ones. Don't Google porn of beloved children's characters.
Send in your sexiest cartoons to lauralex@gmail.com.
And if you're not familiar with Mr. Bean, that's what we're watching next week as an end-of-term prize for being good all year.
All right. Terrari bits. Bye. I need to close the window. It's raining on me.
Can you just say class dismissed then?
For the last time, class dismissed.
What are you going to say at A-level then?
I don't know.
Oh, lecture dismissed.